Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Killed as gunmen attack INEC office in Imo. Zamfara State Governor denies prosecution of opposition parties. And on the foreign scene, Iran executes second person convicted over anti-government protest. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Emmanuel Ujiadugele. At least 4 persons, including 1 police officer, have been killed in an attack on the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) along Port Harcourt Road in Owerri, the Imo State capital. The spokesperson for the Imo State Police Command, Mike Abatam, said the gunmen numbering over 10 came around 3 a.m. with petrol bombs and dynamite. He, however, said the hoodlums were confronted by security operatives who repelled the attack and killed 3 of the attackers. Abatam also said one of the attackers was arrested by the police and 3 vehicles used by the hoodlums were recovered. He, however, added that some parts of the building on the Commission's premises were razed. The campaign office of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) flag bearer for the 2023 governorship election in Gombe State has been burnt down by suspected political thugs. In a statement, the PDP flag bearer Mohammed Jibrin Bade confirmed the attack, adding that the properties were completely destroyed. He stated that the office was touched early this morning and were the handwork of suspected All Progressives Congress (APC) thugs. He further called on the people of the state to reject this act of oppression on the ballot come 2023. And the Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawalle has debunked claims by the People's Democratic Party (PDP) suggesting that the state government connived with the police to arrest 2 chieftains of the opposition party for no concrete reason. Governor's comment comes a few hours after the PDP claims that political persecution was becoming prevalent within Zamfara State. Governor Matawalle, who was of the opinion that anyone that has been arrested must have done something against the law of the land, urged the PDP to inquire from the police why its members have been arrested. The governor further enjoined politicians to ensure that they carry out their election campaigns in line with the laws of the state and the nation. And staying with politics, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Atiku Abubakar, says he has met with the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike to resolve the lingering crisis within the party without any way forward. Atiku stated this during a news chat, adding that he had met the Rivers State Governor twice in Port Harcourt, twice in London, and once in London personally. He said it was not on his part, but on the other side, adding that he was waiting for the Rivers State Governor. Governor Wike has since been at loggerheads with PDP presidential candidate over the chairmanship of Iyorchia Ayu. Governor Wike, alongside 4 other PDP governors known as the G5 or the Integrity Group, have insisted that Benue-born Ayu must step down for a southerner as a precondition to support the 2023 ambition of Atiku. Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom has received his counterpart from Sokoto State, Aminu Tambuwal, in Makurdi yesterday. The meeting was part of moves to resolve the internal crisis rocking the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party (PDP). The Benue State Governor said the meeting was about looking for ways to resolve the crisis rocking the party and was at the instance of the Sokoto State Governor. Tambuwal is the Director General of the Campaign Council of the party's presidential candidate Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, while Ortom is one of the 5 PDP governors known as Integrity Group, currently insisting on the resignation of the party's national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu. And in Lagos State, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) governorship candidate Olajide Adediran has said his administration will return lands seized from the people by previous administrations if elected in 2023. The PDP governorship candidate, popularly known as Jandor, made the pledge during his campaign tour at Ward J, Constituency 1 in Etiosa area of the state yesterday. Jandor mentioned that several schemes for indigenous Bugado disclosed this during the party's President Buhari arrived at the Joint Base Andrews Air Force Base, Maryland at about 6:25 p.m. local time. The president was welcomed by the U.S. Ambassador to the UK and the permanent representative of Nigeria to the United Nations, Tijani Mohamed Bande. President Muhammadu Buhari will join other African leaders at a high-level meeting between Tuesday, December 13th and Thursday, December 15th. Buhari was accompanied by the Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed and Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak, as well as some ministers and top government officials. Armed bandits have reportedly killed the district head of Yakunzo Alhaji Hamza Abdullahi Kogo of Safe Emirate in Zamfara State. It was gathered that the district head was attacked by the bandit on his way back to his camp Friday around 8 p.m. Shot and wounded in an attempt to abduct him, he was rushed to the Federal Medical Center in Gusau, the state capital, where he later died. As of press time, the police authorities and the state government is yet to comment on the latest incident. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back. Senior Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to President Muhammadu Buhari says the president will continue to serve Nigeria and implement policies for the betterment of the country until May 29, 2023. Femi Adesina said this on the sidelines of the 2022 Campus Journalism Awards in Abuja. He also advised journalists, especially young students, to adhere to the ethics of the profession and avoid being used to propagate negative ills in society.
Mandate is for 4 years. The second term is for 4 years, and that 4 years does not lapse until May 29. So till the very last day, governance will continue. The president will continue to serve Nigeria. If they strive to become ethical journalists, they can never fail, because ethics will guide them to stay on the positive part of the profession. The profession has its positive and negative parts. There are those who use journalism for all the things that are despicable. They pull down others, they do untrue stories, they blackmail and all others. But if you determine to become an ethical journalist, then not even the sky is your limit. You will go as far as you can in the profession. So our advice are young journalists, take ethics serious.
Talking business now, the World Bank has projected that debt servicing will go up 123.4% of the federal government's revenue in 2023. This was according to a presentation made by the new World Bank lead economist for Nigeria, Alex Siniat, in November 2022. The document projected that debt servicing would go up 100.2% of federal government revenue by the end of 2022. This was a decline from the earlier projection in its October Africa's Pulse report, which is a biannual analysis of the near-term macroeconomic outlook for the region. In the Africa's Pulse report, the Washington-based bank asserts that Nigeria's debt service the revenue ratio could stand at 102.3% by the end of 2022. Twitter's paid for verification feature is rolling out once again today after it was paused last month due to impersonators. It is still $8 per month, but there is now an increased fee of $11 for those using the Twitter app on Apple devices. Twitter's owner, Elon Musk, has previously said in tweets that he resents the commission fee Apple charges on in-app purchases. Twitter Blue's additional features include an edit button. On the foreign scene, Iran has carried out its second execution linked to the nearly 3-month wave of anti-government protest. The country's judiciary said Majid Reza Ranavad was hanged in the city of Mashhad. He was convicted of stabbing and killing 2 members of the security forces. The first execution linked to the protest took place last Thursday when Mohsen Shekari was hanged, triggering widespread condemnation. The current protests were triggered by the death of Mahsa Amini, a 22-year-old woman who was detained by the country's morality police in September and died while in custody. She was held for allegedly wearing a hijab improperly. The unrest, which began in the capital, Tehran, where Ms. Amini died, has spread to some 160 cities in all of Iran's 31 provinces. Our Ukrainian forces have struck a headquarters of Russia's Wagner mercenary group. The governor in exile of Luhansk in eastern Ukraine, Serhiy Haidai, said a hotel where the group met in Kadivka, Luhansk, has been hit with major losses. Fighting also raged in southern Ukraine over the weekend, with Russia targeting Odessa and Ukraine bombing a target in the occupied city of Melitopol. According to Western experts, Wagner are state-sponsored mercenaries who act in the Kremlin's interest. The private military company set up by Yevgeny Prigozhin, a close associate of Russian President Vladimir Putin, has repeatedly been accused of war crimes and human rights abuses. Talking sports, Croatia coach Zlatko Dalic says he feels happy and proud after beating Brazil to reach the World Cup semi-finals, but admits the celebrations are already over as the team prepares to face Argentina. Dalic disclosed this in his pre-game press conference, adding that his side will pay most attention on how to stop Argentina captain Lionel Messi. He stated that his players need to close spaces and stop the Paris Saint-Germain superstar from receiving the ball. Croatia, who defeated Brazil on penalties, will take on the current Copa America champions Argentina in the first semi-final game at the Lusail Iconic Stadium on Tuesday. Portugal captain Cristiano Ronaldo was unclear about his international future as he responded to his side's World Cup exit following defeat by Morocco. The 37-year-old forward was in tears as he walked back to the dressing room after the 1-0 quarter-final loss. Ronaldo played as a substitute, having also come off the bench in the last 16 win against Switzerland. In a post on social media, he said to win a World Cup for Portugal was the biggest and most ambitious dream of his career, adding that unfortunately the dream ended on Saturday. Nigerian musician Wizkid has apologized for failing to show up for his planned performance at a concert in Ghana. The Nigerian superstar, whose real name is Ayodeji Balogun, was due to appear at the Accra Sports Stadium on Saturday. But Wizkid was a no-show, leaving many of his Ghanaian fans angry, including those who have turned up at the venue and waited for hours to see him perform. The show's promoter, Live Herb, accused the Afrobeat singer of breaching his contractual obligation. But last night, the music star apologized to everyone who made the effort to come out. According to him, up until the day of the show, there were safety and production issues that prevented him from putting on a high-quality show for his fans. Wizkid said he and his team were working on delivering a show to his fans in Ghana. Before we end the news, here is a recap of our top stories. At least 4 persons, including 1 police officer, have been killed in an attack on the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) along Port Harcourt Road in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Zamfara State Governor Bello Matawalle has debunked claims by the People's Democratic Party (PDP) suggesting that the state government is connived with the police to arrest 2 chieftains of the opposition party for no concrete reason. And on the foreign scene, Iran has carried out its second execution linked to the nearly 3-month wave of anti-government protests. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. I am Emmanuel Ujadigele. Good afternoon.
exotic lover. Pretty lady, it's nice to know ya. Nice to know ya, nice to meet ya. What's your name? What's your name? Say what? Love me JJ, love me tender. I don't mess around, I'm not a great pretender. I'm the bad boy from Nigeria. The baddest boy in this area. You blow my mind with the way you walking. You blow my mind with the way you talking. Oh, stop. Love me JJ, love me tender.
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 You're my sugar, my honey, my tender lover.
You're my sugar, my honey, my tender lover.
My sugar, my honey, my tender lover.
My sugar, my honey, my tender lover.
If you say you love me, I stay forever.
If you say you love me, I'll stay forever.
Well, if you say you love me, I'll stay forever.
If you say you love me, I'll stay forever.
Love me JJ, love me tender.
Love me JJ, love me tender.
Love me JJ, love me tender.
Love me JJ, love me tender. Every day I think of you. Every night I think of you. Said every day I think of you. Every night I think of you.
My African woman with the pretty face, slow and steady, wins this race. Beautiful girl, beautiful girl, come make me talk. I pick you up around 8 o'clock. Give me good love, you give me ecstasy. I give you good love, I be your fantasy. Oh, I love the way you walk, I no go lie. I love the way you dance, I no go lie. And me, I share never. Temperature rising, you give me fever. New York, Lagos, even London, anywhere you go, you got it going on. Love me JJ, love me tender.
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 You're my sugar, my honey, my tender lover.
My sugar, my honey, my tender lover.
You're my sugar, my honey, my tender lover.
You're my sugar, my honey, my tender lover.
Well, if you say you love me, I stay forever.
If you say you love me, I'll stay forever.
If you say you love me, I stay forever.
If you say you love me, I'll stay forever.
Love me JJ, love me tender.
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 Love me JJ, love me tender. Every day I think of you. Every night I think of you.
Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Hello, everyone. It's always exciting to be back on your TV screen, sharing incredible stories of those who made it through the storm. Welcome to You Were There. Sarah was moved with compassion to help a little boy in need, but she was a student in a foreign country with limited resources. How could she possibly help someone else? Well, the answer to that question is in our first story, so stay tuned.
Many of us get very frightened when we hear that word commitment. And honestly, I don't blame you, because commitments can be very scary. I mean, once you get into it, once you make that decision, there's no going back. In 2015, I was a full-time student in the US, and I wasn't working, no job, no income whatsoever. I was fully sponsored by my parents, and it was a great privilege. One day I was doing a research project and I was going through the web, doing my stuff. And then I came across this ad. It was a picture of orphans and vulnerable children in Asia. So I was like, oh wow, let me find out what this is about. I clicked on the ad and it took me to a homepage, and it was so compelling. I saw stories of children that were just in need. It's basically for normal things like $10 a day to just, take care of their needs. And I decided that this was the kind of thing I love to do. Immediately I thought about that. Another voice told me in my head, on what allowance? Basically, the money I was receiving was just enough to cover my needs for a month, and I didn't think it was possible to do it. But I shrugged it off and I decided to do it anyway. I immediately went to the site, put in my card details, and sent a standing order to the bank to take the money out monthly. I want to tell you that, I love the decision and everything, and it was fruitful, but man, there were days I regretted that decision. Some way, somehow though, God sustained me through the entire process, and I was happy. One day, I was coming back from a class and I decided that I needed to pick up my mail from my mailbox. So I went in, got my mail, and went to my house. I flipped through the junk mails and everything, and then I saw one strange letter. It had my name written on the envelope in a child's handwriting. So I was like, what is this? I opened it and it was a letter from Christian, the boy I had decided to sponsor. He was a 5-year-old child from the Philippines, and he had written this beautiful letter about how my giving had changed his life completely. He was going to school, he was being fed daily at the center, he was learning to read and write, meeting new people, and it was so amazing. I did not know when tears started coming down my eyes. He was so happy, and he was expressing how he would love to meet me someday in the future. I knew that I would probably never get to meet this boy ever, but the joy that overwhelmed my heart, I was deeply fulfilled. I just felt satisfied at that point. Many times we want to do things like this, but we're so scared about what will happen if we do and how we'll be able to sustain ourselves. But just making that decision to step out and then receiving Christian's letter was like everything. When I came back to Nigeria, I decided that I wanted to do it for a child back home, right here. And so I joined the 700 Club Nigeria. And every time I get that message from the bank that this money has been deducted, I'm so happy, because I know that somebody is being fed, somebody is learning, somebody is being treated, somebody's need is being met. And this is the joy of my life, literally, knowing that I'm living my life not just for myself, but for others. You can experience that same joy that I experience now every single day, because life is best lived, poured out in the service of others.
Thank you, Sarah, for moving beyond your limitation to be a blessing. God bless you, and God bless every partner who has chosen to touch lives, even when it was hard to. Indeed, no distance is too far, no community is out of reach. CBN partners travel far and wide to reach the world. Our next stop is Accra, Ghana, right in Akwani Dobro community. I hope you're ready.
For over 20 years, the Christian Broadcasting Network Africa has been in the forefront of providing humanitarian assistance to the rural and urban communities in Ghana. Hundreds of thousands of people have benefited from our medical outreaches, and many more have drunk from the water wells provided by the partners of CBN, the 700 Club members. Recently, a team of producers from the Nigeria office of CBN Africa visited Ghana. Together with their colleagues in Accra, they toured some of the communities that had benefited from the Living Water Wells project of CBN. About an hour's drive from the Accra city center is a rustic community with some very friendly and hard-working people.
We are in Ankwani Dobro in the Eastern region of Ghana. CBN provided this community with a potable water well. Today we are here to assess how it has impacted on their lives.
But first, a visit to the stream that was once the only source of water here. For years, this was the major source of water for Ankwani Dobro community. The stream wasn't quite as green, but with the development of this road, it has become more stagnant and sinister looking. Every morning, the women and school children would gather here to get some of this water for domestic chores. If they did not spend precious time and energy to treat the water, there was only going to be one outcome.
We had no choice. The water made us sick, but we had to drink it anyway.
We're having a problem with the guinea worm, diarrhea, cholera, and other river diseases. Yeah, because it's contaminated. So when you take it, it gives us a lot of problems. Sometimes skin rashes and other things.
It would dry up in the dry season, and we had to dig into the ground to get water. It was difficult.
But some years ago, just as we had done in many other parts of Ghana, Operation Blessing, the humanitarian arm of the Christian Broadcasting Network, was in Ankwani Dobro to commission this water well.
In fact, it was a day that this community will continue to remember, because we were so happy. It was joyful everywhere. Everybody was happy. The entire community were here to see this fresh water coming from the well. In fact, we were happy.
Now the water flows, and the hard-working men, women and children are happy.
We suffered a lot before you gave us this well, but now we are happy. The diseases have greatly reduced too, but we need more wells as the population has increased here.
We don't go far to fetch water again. We are happy.
Oh, I feel very happy for them to establish this well for us. So it enables us to go to school early, which enables us to learn better.
It's good for drinking, good for everything, and it doesn't give us a problem that we need to get. And then the other one, you know, when it rains heavily, it becomes dirty. And in the dry season too, it becomes dirty. Sometimes it tends to greenish. But we don't have no alternative to use it that way. But this one is clean always, so it's good for us. It's good for the people.
A few kilometers away from Ankwani Dobro is another beneficiary community of the Obi Living Water Wells project. Esiokram, like most parts of Ghana, is rich in fertile lands and refreshing agricultural produce. But for them, this stream provided the only source of water to sustain life, though sourcing water from here came at a price.
The water made us sick. We had waterborne diseases like cholera, typhoid, skin infections, and guinea worm.
If you live where there is no good source of water, life becomes unbearable.
When CBN heard of their plight, our partners, members of the 700 Club, mobilized resources and established this water well for the community.
The day the well was dedicated, we were very happy. Right now, everyone in the village fetches from this pump.
I was born in this village, and I never dreamt that one day we would have such a facility. I thank God.
Thank you, CBN.